Yeah. Hi. So welcome to our Omud Gemara shiur. Not necessarily a full page, but we do what we can. We are Shabbos Kuf Lamed Gimel Amud Beis. This year is for the Atzlocha of Moshe Chaim ben Malka. Moshe Chaim ben Malka is still at the barber shop now, and he gave up on his turn and said, I should go first before him. I should have enough time to prepare this year. Unbelievable Bakr. So Atzlocha Gdola for Moshe Chaim ben Malka for Shidduch and for everything else. Chol Inyonim. La'ilu nishmas my father Menachem ben Akiva. Latzlochas and Atzolas, all the hostages and everybody, against Klal Yisrael, should all go back home and go back to Avinu Shebashamayim. Amen. Having said that, let's go. We are learning now about Bris Milah, and surprise, surprise, just like you have Hiddur Mitzvah in all other areas of Torah, or in many areas of Torah, there's a concept of Hiddur Mitzvah, of beautifying the mitzvahs. So too it's true about Bris Milah. Let's see the following and how it affects also Milah on Shabbos. The Tona Abonon, second line. Hamal, a person who is going through, who's performing a Bris Milah, the Moyel, Kozman Shoisik B'Milah, as long as the Moyel is still busy with his hands on physically on the Milah, Choizel, he goes back to fix, let's say there's some cuticle pieces of skin which he forgot to or didn't manage to cut the first time. His hands are still there. He goes back to fix, yeah, and kind of close account with old stuff. Which means some tzitzin, some pieces of milah of skin, they are me'akiv. You can't go on without them. If those tzitzim are not, yeah, let's say there's the whole orla, the whole foreskin, and one strand of skin still stays there, and it's me'akiv. What does me'akiv? It is more, it covers lengthwise or height-wise the majority of the corona of the Torah. If that is so, it's me'akiv the milah, and if the baby has that left behind, it's as if he has no bris milah. The Gemara says later he gets chorus if he, eventually if he grows up without the proper milah. So as long as now, and tzitzin she'en me'akvin are also those pieces of skin which are not me'akiv because they're less than roiv. They're not covering the majority. They better be removed, but it's not me'akiv. It's not so nice, not so good when they remain, when they stay behind, but it's not the end of the world. It's not me'akiv. So as long as the person, the moyel, has his hands on, so then whether the tzitzin ma'akiv, not ma'akiv, he may still fix them, according to Rashi, even on Shabbos, even though it's Shabbos, and even though those tzitzim are not me'akiv, and it's considered to be bris milah without those tzitzis being cut. But if you cut them, it's better. So that's the chiddush here. The chiddush here of the Mishnah that we saw before is those, as long as the moil is involved in milah, even though those tzitzim shen and ma'akim are not mandatory, but they're just a hidur, as long as you're involved in a mitzvah, you can jump on the bandwagon and continue to do hidur mitzvah, even at the expense of chilul Shabbos. It's not really chilul. It's allowed, because even though you're pushing away Shabbos. Pirish, what happens if that moel disconnected, detached his hands, and removed his hands from the milah? Then depends. Al tzitzin ma'akvin milah choizer. If the tzitzin are me'akev, he has to go back. He realizes, he can look and see that there is a piece of skin which you can't just go on without. It has to be cut, even though it's Shabbos. Who cares it's Shabbos? The baby is an orel. The baby is a goy because he has that little piece of skin still sticking there. So that's ma'akiv. It's mandatory. Al tzitzin shen me'akvin es milah eino choizer. Oh, Meshenkin, if we're talking about tzitzin she'ein me'akvin, tzitzin which are better be removed, but it's not so necessary, those should not be removed on Shabbos. If you finished and removed your hands, now you're coming to do a whole new pull. Remember, that's going to be the main motto today. If you're going to start a whole new action, you removed your hands, you're the mohel. You removed your hands, and I'm going to put and restart a new action just in order to do hidur. That's no. On the expense of Shabbos, no. You don't do hidur mitzvah on the expense of Shabbos. That's the idea. Okay? Frag the Gemara, man Tana Pirish and Choizel. Who's the Tana? Who is the, because we're going to see different Machlokes Tanoim about this similar topics. And the question is, who is the Tana that believes that Pirish and Choizel? Which means not everybody agrees that if you disconnected and detached your hands and you see a problem, it's not the end of the world problem, but it's still not nice, not good. And here the Mishnah says, if it's once you removed your hands, you want to start a whole new action in order to make the milah nicer, you don't do that. Who believes in that? We're going to see several Mishnayos to find out who is the Tana who thinks you shouldn't go back to improve the previously forgotten Hidur mitzvah. Omar Baba Bachana, Omar B'Yochanan. You know who that is, he says, first wide line. Rabbi Shmuel b'no shel Rabbi Yochanan ben Boikohi. The author of our Mishnah, of our Brisa over here, is Rabbi Shmuel, the son of the Heilige Rabbi Yochanan ben Boiko, the Tanya. It says there, says the Brisa that brought down before, we saw Daf Kuf Zayin. It's again, as we explained before, Erev Pesach is on Shabbos. You go along with the Korban. You do Shchita, you do Zrika, obviously after Kabbalah, you do the whole thing on Shabbos. Now, Shabbos, what about Hafshoto? One of the Avos Malacha forbidden on Shabbos is skinning a dead animal, not a cooked animal, but a dead one. So, are you allowed to be mafshit? Obviously, yes. If you don't skin the animal, you don't get to the what? To the innards, to the imurim. And you have to bring the imurim on Pesach. That's aktorah that you have to do. So what do? Mafshit Pesach ad chose. You only mafshit, you flay the skin up again. Again, remember that the animal is hanging from its back feet on top, yeah? And the animal you flay it from the stomach going down to the chose, to the chest. Now, ad chose, until the chest you skin it. Div Rabbi Shmuel, b'no shel Rabbi Yochanan ben Boiko. Rabbi Yochanan ben Boiko's son says as follows: listen, you only do the minimum. Do the minimum to be mafshit the chose in order to take the imurim until the stomach meant to reveal the stomach in order to get the imurim out. You do that because we don't want to make holes with the hair of the skin. So you remove it. So now all the hairy skin is out. Now the animal is just flesh. You take the imurim. That's necessary. Can't go without it. The imurim is most important. That's akrova, aktorah. So, but hey, don't continue. Don't continue to skin it in the chest. Why? Why is skinning it down to the chest? For the meat. Who's going to eat the meat? People, not Hashem. People will eat it Leila Seder, right? Motzei Erev Pesach, Leila Seder. Now, for people's sake, just for the people to enjoy the meat will be more fresh, as we explained previously, because once the skin is out, it's fresher. You don't do that. The Chachamim say no. Once you started and you mafshit and you stopped and you took out the imurim, you can start a new action of mafshit the whole animal, even the chest, which is not brought to the mizbeach. You can do that. Let me explain more. I'm not sure I explained it right. Let me explain again. The imurim belong to Hashem, right? And the rest of the meat belongs to people who are going to eat it on the Leila Seder in Yerushalayim. True? Oh. Says Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika, both Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika and Chachamim agree that technically there are two stages. It's a two-step process. It's not one go whoop. Yeah, it's not like it's not like one go. Yeah, it goes in two stages. Why? Because first of all, you have to take out the skin and let the imurim out. Yeah. At that happy note, there's a machlokes. Says Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika, hold it right there. Are you going to continue to skin? Why? The rest of the skinning is done for people, not for Hashem, right? Okay.
And part some of it is done for Hashem.
Yes, the imurim. The first part of the imurim, everyone justifies, obviously. But now comes the second stage after you stopped. Then says Rabbi Yochanan ben Broika, hold it, man, hold it right there. Why? Because really, you don't start a whole new hafshata Now start comparing it to our sugya. You don't start a new hafshata once you've stopped, you paused. You can't start a new hafshata just for the sake of people, right? Of our own eating the meat, which will enjoy the meat more like that. No? Mashenkin Chachamim say, yes. Chachamim say allowed to do the hafshata for people too. So what do you see? Oh, you see Rabbi Yochanan ben Broiko and Rabbi Shmuel, his son. Oh, what do they believe? Great. They believe, oops, the once you stopped, you removed your hands, you don't do a new action. That's mamish like by Milah. You see that once I removed my hands from the Milah, I don't go back to start a new action in order to remove the Hidur. Back the Gemara, Mima, how do you know? What's the comparison between Pesach and Milah? It's a smoke screen. It's not a real comparison. Why? Ad kan lo kamar b'shmo b'no shel Bechor ben Broika Hosom. You know why over there he said that once you stopped, you don't start a new action of Chilul Shabbos for the sake of kochim to eat it by people. You know why? Simple. Mishum delo ba'ina zeh keli v'anveu. Over there, there's no hider mitzvah by the meat that will be eaten by the people. Yeah? Why do you want to skin it? Because if you remember, we said once the skin is on the flesh, it makes it warmer, hotter, not so fresh. Yeah? There's no hider mitzvah on the meat I'm eating in Lala Seder, apparently. And therefore, why should I? Or at least that's what he believes. Mimela, he says, what? You're starting a whole new Chilul Shabbos for no justifiable reason. Aval hocho by Milah. Over here by Milah, it's a whole different story. The ba'inan zekel ivan veu achinami. Over here by Milah, apparently zekel ivan veu, which we say in Shira Sayam, zekel ivan veu, gaviv memenu. Zekel ivan veu. What does it mean? This is my God, and I will beautify Him. What do you mean to beautify Hashem? It means you beautify the mitzvahs. So to beautify the mitzvahs of itself. There's a chakira if it's a mitzvah by itself, or it's a mitzvah that's connected to the other mitzvah. Lo mishane. There's a mitzvah to do the mitzvahs in a beautiful manner. That maybe even according to Rabbi Shmuel would yes justify starting a new peula. The Tanya. Let's see more about this interesting mitzvah. It applies every day. Zeh keli ve'anvehu. He's snoi lefon of mitzvahs. What's vanvehu? You can't beautify Hashem. No, you beautify yourself. Yeah, in front of Hashem. You are the one that has to look beautiful in the eyes of Hashem. How do you look beautiful in the eyes of Hashem? You do a nose job. You dye your hair. What do you do to be beautiful in the eyes of Hashem? What do you do? Mitzvahs. Make the mitzvahs more beautiful. What do you mean? A telephone of sukkah. No, we make a sukkah. Put no sukkah inside. Make a beautiful sukkah. The lulav noy, choose a very nice lulav. You do a mitzvah, right? Hodo, prietz, hodo, no, yeah. The lulav noy. By the way, Rashi connects the two psukim at the beginning of the third parak of Sukkah. He says, Zekel Ivan Veu is connected to having a beautiful lulav. The shofar noy, have a shofar which is not just beautiful, good sound. It has this good sound coming out. Tzitzis noy. If you have a special tzitzis for the mitzvah of tzitzis, as we all have nowadays, as a special dalit confess, make it beautiful. Sefer Torah noy. Yeah, make a beautiful Sefer Torah. Don't become a miser when it comes to Sefer Torah. The guy is the most beautiful car in town. Comes to Sefer Torah, second best. Why? Sefer Torah should be the most beautiful one. The Ksoiba Lishmoy. You should write for the name of Hashem. Bedyonoy. Use the best ink, beautiful ink. Bekulmus noy. Kulmus noy, in a kulmus that's beautiful, meaning a kulmus that produces nice letters. The kulmus has to be the quill. Yeah, it has to be of nice quality. So it produces nice letters. The lavlar uman. The lavlar is the sofer. He doesn't have to be good looking, the sofer, but the sofer is good, professional uman. He's a sofer which knows his job. The kocha b'shiroi noin. And then the Sefer Torah, you have to wrap it up with beautiful cloth, make a nice paroiches, a me'il to the Sefer Torah. And the same applies to what? To Milah. So since Milah, the concept of Zekel Vanveu, you have to have the Milah good looking Milah. Therefore, what? If maybe Rabbi Shmuel would agree, possibly, that even though you detached your hand, detached and you're out of the story, maybe the mitzvah of Zekel Vanveu does justify to go back and do the extra good bris milah, the beautiful milah, You beautify it even on Shabbos. Maybe yes, maybe no. We don't know. Our Brisa says you don't. But how do you know he would say no? He spoke about the meat of the Leila Seder. There's no over there. Abashol Oimer, continuing the Brisa, Abashol said, the Anvehu, what's Vanvehu? Evedoim Eloi. Anvehu means Anivehu, Rashi says. What's Vanvehu? It's like, merging two words, Anivehu, me and I, me and Hashem. Me and him are together. Psh, what do you mean you're together with Hashem? You're one with Hashem? Evedoim Eloi, yes, be like Hashem. Be, try and emulate, mimic the ways of Hashem. Just like Hashem is merciful, so too you should be merciful. Yeah, many times we want Hashem to judge us favorably. We want Hashem to give us matnas chinam all the time. So why do you treat the schnorrer differently? If Hashem would check into your maisim toivim and this, you think Hashem would give you money? He still gives you money. So why do you become so nitpicking in this with a collector, with a fundraiser? Huh? Please tell me. Yeah, that's a business. You have to copy Hashem. Just like He's so merciful and giving, you have to be the same. In any event, but I saw a very nice word. I saw it in the Dirshu B'Shem Achroinim that Abashol, that first of all, the Rishonim say Abashol doesn't argue about Zekeli Vandeu. He just says a different drosha. There's a different drosha. He said, "You're right. I'm just darshaning it differently." But I saw a very nice idea that there are people who spend a lot of money on mitzvahs. The Fatoi or Tzitz is very nice. When it comes to tzedakah, daddy's not home. I'm not available. Yeah, all of a sudden there's no right. So what comes out? At 9 o'clock at night, I don't see people anymore. Although it's 8 o'clock. Yeah, personal experience. So now, yeah, what's the story here? So you were so nice with the Sefer Torah and this. What about people? Says Abba Shol, don't forget. Don't forget to be like Hashem. Don't forget to be the one who is similar to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and has mercy on people. Weiter. Let's go. Okay.
But then these people that you can go to 11, 12. So where do you draw the line?
It's true. No, obviously, you're right. I don't want to go down that lane right now. Obviously, it's true that I agree 100%. The fundraiser should also know how to draw the line. I agree with you 100%, and I was that way too, meaning I did know how to draw the line. In any event, yeah, you're right, but definitely people on both sides should know how to treat the other side respectfully and have rachmanus on those who need the money. Weiter. Let's go. Or those who collect for Moisdes, which was my case. Okay, weiter. Let's see now who is the author of the Mishnah. What did we say about the Mishnah again? Let's revise, not the Mishnah, the Brisa. What did the Brisa tell us? Remember what the Brisa said? The Brisa said the Chiddush. Tzitzin she'einan me'akavin. Though tzitzin which are a hidur mitzvah, they're not mandatory, they're not necessary, but it's much better. It's a mitzvah l'chatchila to get rid of them. And you realize, I did not get rid of them, they're still there. If your hands are still physically on the baby, you're allowed to fix them, even though it's Shabbos, because it's a hemshech, it's a continuation of the same Ma'aseh Milah, right? Even though that of itself does not justify Chilul Shabbos, meaning once you detached your hands, you removed your hands to start a new action, yeah, of breaking Shabbos only for the sake of Hidur, that we don't justify. That's very nice and sounds actually very, very logical. The question is, who is the Tana that believes that? Let's see. We are still searching for the Tana. Ela Omar Rav Ashi, but Rav Ashi says otherwise. Omani Rabbi Yossi. You know who's the author of our Mishnah? It's Rabbi Yossi. That's which Rabbi Yossi? Says, Ben Sheni Rabbi Olid, we're talking about the new moon. The new moon, Muni. Yeah, there's a new moon in the Rosh Chodesh, and everybody wants to run to Yerushalayim to tell Beis Din that they saw the new moon. What happens if the new moon was summer night, the Chodesh Tammuz, Av, the sky was clear, and we all know it was clear all over Eretz Israel, and that sliver of moon was very clear. Yeah, and it's very, very, very likely that not only you saw the moon, you living in Kiryat Shmona, makes a lot of sense that Beis Din Yerushalayim also saw it, and people close to Beis Din saw it too. So now, will I go into my Tesla if I live in Kiryat Shmona and start driving quickly on Shabbos to tell Beis Din that I saw the new moon, even though that new moon they probably saw that too? It's a machlokes. Let's see. Ben shenir ba'alil. Ba'alil means clearly. Ben shalonir ba'alil. and even or if it was, all the more so, if it wasn't seen clearly, you just saw something nebulous and unclear, Mechal and all of it's a Shabbos. Then the Kama says, yes, you're allowed to be Mechal al Shabbos, meaning since the mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh pushes away mitzvah Shabbos, and the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah learns it from the drosha, yeah. Therefore, it's a carte blanche. It's not d'chuya, it's hutra, which means it's allowed. Once I'm involved in the mitzvah of not Kiddush HaChodesh, even of letting Beis Din know that the new moon is here, that it just Shabbos just doesn't apply. And therefore, what? I'm allowed to be Mechal Shabbos, even if it's like, in order to go and tell them in Yerushalayim, even though it's likely that they already saw it. That's the Nekama's philosophy. Rabbi Yossi Omer, no. Nira Ba'alil, in Mechal Shabbos. Says Rabbi Yossi, no, doesn't make sense to me. If the moon was, it's a very cloudy night, it's Chodesh Teves, and not everybody saw the moon, and I'm the only Chochem who saw the moon, or I think I'm the only Chochem, and it's likely the Beis Din didn't see it, then Mechal Shabbos. He'd be Zoich the mitzvah, could be very well be that nobody in Yerushalayim saw it. Only from my observatory in Rishon, wherever, I saw it. Then Mechal Shabbos. But otherwise, no. Yeah, and Mechal Shabbos says Rabbi Yossi. What do we see from Rabbi Yossi? That if it's not seen clear, that if it's seen clearly, you're not Mechal Shabbos. Says Rashi, what's the connection to our sugya? It's a bit hard to understand, so Rashi explains. Alma, look at Rashi before the end of the narrow lines. Afal gavika mitzvah, kevan delav letzorch gavayahu lo mechalilan, which means that mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh, it's not mitzvahs gavoya. It's not a korban. Korbanos is Michal Shabbos for. This is not a gavoya. It's a people's mitzvah, and you see not Michal Shabbos for that. V'ochanami here too, by the Bris Milah, Piresh once Moel detached his hands. Since it's considered to be a new action, to do what? To do the Milah after I've done the Milah, and it's okay. It's just not mehudar to start a new action just for hider to start the mitzvah. Rabbi Yossi would probably say no. Rabbi Yossi seems to be more machmir in terms of breaking Shabbos for all kinds of mitzvahs. And Milah and Kiddush HaChodesh would be the same. I only do for the necessary. What's not necessary, I don't do. Dog the Gemara Mimai. How do you know? What's the connection between Rabbi Yossi and Kiddush HaChodesh to our Sugya Bris Milah? Dilma, maybe. Ad kan lo kam Rabbi Yossi hosom dilo nitna Shabbos lidchos. Over there, of course. Over there, Shabbos, in such a case of Nira Be'olil, according to Rabbi Yossi, is not a derivative of the general mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh. If everybody saw the moon, or it's very, very, very likely that people in Yerushalayim saw the moon as much as I, nowadays, I saw the guy on Friday went online, he saw that the weather in the entire of Israel is hot, clear sky, middle of the summer, very likely that everybody saw, you're not the only one who saw the new moon.
Yeah.
So then there's no room at all to be Michal Shabbos. Yeah, it's not a continuation of another mitzvah. Why should he be Michal Shabbos? Aval hocho, but over here, the nitne Shabbos lidchois. Hachinami. Over here, it's not the same case at all. Over here, remember what we said. The beginning of the mitzvah, the core of the mitzvah, the main part of the mitzvah, which is Milah, of course was given to B'Michal Shabbos. It says Bayoim Ashmini, Bayoim Afilu B'Shabbos. And therefore, could be Rabbi Yossi would agree, one second, yeah, true. But so maybe Rabbi Yossi would think, wait, if I can start to be Michal Shabbos from Milah, even if I removed my hands, now I have a continuation called what? Zeker Levanveu. Maybe Zeker Levanveu of the mitzvah of Milah can be done even after I removed my hands. He can't prove it from the moon because the story of the moon, according to him, a moon which is not seen, not so clear. I'm the only smart guy. He went between the bushes and I went to a high mountain and I viewed between the clouds. I'm a big, stargazer. I saw it. Then, Enochinami, drive your car, take your Tesla and start, press the gas. go to Yerushalayim ASAP to tell everybody because they probably didn't see it. That's a different kind of story. But when you have the moon that's seen very clearly, no reason for you, they probably saw it. So you start Mechalel Shabbos. But Shenkin here by Milah, that's not the case. Here, for sure, you're allowed to Mechalel Shabbos up to a certain point. Everybody agrees. Nobody says otherwise. Rabbi Lezer says even more, right? Everyone agrees that the Etzah Milah, you're allowed to Mechalel Shabbos for, true? Milah Sadan and Shabbos every Shabbos, yeah? Elamai, is the continuation justifiable or not just to fix and add the extra frills? Maybe yes. Maybe Rabbi Yossi would say that you're allowed to, even after you detached your hands. You can't prove it from Milah and from the moon. But the moon are not two stages. It's all or nothing. Here it's a second stage. Maybe just like the first stage is okay. Maybe the second stage is also okay. Maybe not. But don't tell me Rabbi Yossi is one who said it. That's not proven. Very good. Now we come to the final conclusion. Ella. Ami Nardoi. Nardoi, the Bnei Yeshiva of Nardoi, they say the following. You know who are the authors of our Brisa? Rabbanon de Pligiale de Rabbi Yossi. It's a different Rabbi Yossi. I mean, it's the same person. It's a different bechlokes between Chacham and Rabbi Yossi. Nothing to do with the new moon or the new whatever, the new month. It's only to do with a different halacha called what? Lechem Aponim. Let me just remind you, Lechem Aponim, it says about Lechem Aponim, Lechem Aponim was bread. Yeah, there were 12 loaves of bread, 6 over here, 6 over here, piled up, right? 12 altogether. In the middle between them, there were 2 small cups with the cups of levoina. Levoina is like, something that smells nice. And you, every Shabbos morning, you bring the bziche levoina, take it to Mizbech HaChitzon, you maktir over there, yeah, you burn it on the Mizbech HaChitzon, then the Kohanim are allowed to eat the Lechem Aponim. That's a Shabbos morning mitzvah for the Kohanim. Now, it says, Lechem Aponim, lefonai tomid. Lechem Aponim has to be on the Mizbech always. The word always, my friends, is one of the most flexible, wide no, words in the world. Tell me something. Do you always eat? Yes or no? Baruch Hashem, except for Yom Kippur or I don't know, special diets and Tisha B'Av, you always eat.
Yeah.
Do you always breathe? Yes.
Yeah.
You breathe much more often, I'd like to think, than you eat, right?
Yeah.
Do you always get mad at so and so? Well,
Yeah.
always, not always, Your father, mother, little brother, they always annoy you, meaning once in 2 weeks, but you think it's always, right?
Yeah.
Speak to counselors about it, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Always is a very, very, very big word. And even always of the Torah is up to interpretation by different Tanoim. Okay? And soon we'll see how it very nicely connects to our sugya. So let's see. How do you make sure that Lechem Aponim was always on the Mizbech? Now, when would they bring the new Lechem Aponim onto the actual Mizbech HaZahav, after it's been already on the one from silver, the little one, they bring it onto the golden one? Every Shabbos morning was Lahavdil, look at the English, crown, they're changing of the guards. Lahavdil, here too, they would remove the old bread, which stayed fresh, as we all know, which was already 8 days old, and they would bring in the new bread, which was freshly baked. Oh, and the old one they would eat, the new one they would leave now for until next Shabbos. Now you have to make sure the bread is always on the table. How do you change it then? Right? Do you remove the old one and then put the new one? But then the mizbeach will stay bare with no bread, right?
Yeah.
You remove the old one. Hey, let's take a photo at Shabbos. If the mizbeach is naked, now you're putting a new bread. That's too late, right? What's going on? Is it always? Let's see. This gives us a very vivid description of how they would change lechem aponim, the changeover. Four kohanim would enter the kodesh, the heichal, where the shulchan was. Shnayim beyodam shnei sdorim. 2 of them would have the 2 sdorim, meaning the two orders, the 2 piles of lechem aponim, 6, and another kohen would have 6. Vishnayim beyodam shnei bzichin. 2 kohanim in their hands would hold the 2 bzichim, the 2 cups with the lavona, with the good smelling leaves, yeah. Now they're about to place the new bread, yeah, on the shulchan. Did I say mizbech? I meant shulchan. Sorry, I said mizbech before. Sorry. I meant shulchan, the table, not mizbech. Sorry. V'arba makdimin lifneim. Four, the other four would be makdim, would like go ahead of them to remove the existing bread, the old bread. Shnayim litol shnei sdorim. Two of them to take two sdorim, to remove the two sdorim of bread, the two piles of bread on the mizbeach. Shnayim litol shnei bzichin. Okay, so two people, four people would remove, while four people are bringing in. Hamachnisin, how would they play it exactly? Now let's go to the finer details of how they make sure it's tomid. Hamachnisin oimdim mitzofin pneim ladorim. Now the mizbech would be from east to west, facing the what's his name, the Kodesh Kodoshim. Machnisin would stand in the north. This is based on Mikdash, that's the table. Those who bring in the bread would stay, in the north facing the south, upneim ladorim, facing south. V'amotzin, those who take out the bread, omdim lador pneim latzofon, they would stand in the south facing north. Yeah, they're each one facing each other. Rashi points out that those of the north would bring the bread because north, especially in the Beis Hamikdash, is a very important place. Tofon is actually in a way, not the holiest, but that's where Kodesh Kodoshim would be nishchat. Yeah, the Tofon. So now, v'amotzin omdim bador pneim lador. Elu moishchim ve'elu manichim. How to make sure that it's always there? The ones who remove, they slowly would pull it out. They would pull it back, right? The elu manichin, and those who bring in would place it. Tifcha shel zeh b'tzat tifcha shel zeh. It's called in English to inch through. They would slowly shift it through. In other words, they would make sure that the shulchan is not bare, not for a millisecond. In other words, as the new guys bring the new bread, they would slowly, gently push, millimeter by millimeter, boom, 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 making sure that the mizbech is never, that the shulchan is never empty. Tamid is tamid. It's like breathing all the time. That's what the Nakama believes. It just bread has to be there all the time. So how do you change over? Every second you have another bread, either the old one or the new one, on stage. Yeah. Ay, mishum er mishum shenemar lefonei tomid. Why is that? Because it says, as I told you, you should have the bread in front of me, says Hashem, always. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Rabbi Yossi says, afilu elu noitlin ve'elu manichin, says Rabbi Yossi, relax. Says Rabbi Yossi, man, relax. Which means, even if they would remove it completely, and the shulchan was empty, and the new kohanim would then 5-10 minutes later, or even an hour later, as long as it's not overnight, it's still called Tomid. Which means his Tomid was like us putting tefillin Tomid once a day. Which means, as long as you don't have an entire day without the lechem, it's still considered to be Tomid. And therefore, he's not worried about it. So what do you see about? It's still called Tomid, yes. They can move the old bread. The new guys bring the new bread, and everyone's friendly. The shulchan was empty for 5 minutes. So what? Still called Tomid. Tomid means always means every day. At some point today, the new bread will come 5 minutes later or 5 hours later. Says Rashi, as long as it's not overnight. How is that connected to our sugya? Very nice. You see that if I stopped something, Talmud apparently, and that's a chiddush, see Lashon Rashi, I want to see how Rashi defines it. Rashi says, let me give you a little, not introduction, explanation. Although Talmud is written regarding Lechem Aponim, but you see different philosophies about how do you view a Maisa that was stopped and started again. According to Chachamim, what would be if the old Kohanim would remove the whole thing of the Mizbeach, empty, bare, and now the new ones would come, oy vavoy. What would Chachamim say? That's called a whole new action. You stopped. The action stopped in the middle. Now doing something new. That's a whole new thing. It's not Tamid. Tamid means continuity, continuation. That's mamish non-stop. Same thing by Milah. Chachamim of Rabbi Yossi, right? The Chachamim, the argued Rabbi Yossi, they would say the same thing with Milah. Once the Moihel removed his hands from the Milah, that's a whole new start. It's a whole new story. A whole new story? Oh, you can't be Mechal Shabbos for a new action just for Hidur. Says Rabbi Yossi, you know, guys, I agree. This is a new Chiddush now. I agree that you don't Mechal Shabbos just for Hidur mitzvah, but it's not called just Hidur. I believe just like by the Shulchan, when you remove and there's a gap in time and a new action, that gap in time is not really gap in time. I don't care about it. So to, even though the Malach removed his hands, and now the 5 minutes are over, and the Malach looks again and says, "Oh, I see a tzitzin she'einen me'akvin." He is allowed to go back there. Why? Because it's not a new action. He's continuing the original bris milah, and the original basic bris milah for sure was allowed to break Shabbos. Very, very gishmak. So that's a machloikes. Again, let's revise. Let's revise, and everything will be beautiful. Be'ezras Hashem. Our Brisa said as follows: Mr. Moihel Moihelovsky. He sees that he did the bris milah, very nice, and then he realizes at some point, oops, at what point? That's a good question. He realizes that the milah is not nicely done, not to perfection. There are few bits and pieces, cuticles that shouldn't be there. It's not me'akiv. Oh, not me'akiv means if the moil has his hands on the milah still, then chaparai, jump on the bandwagon, just like you're allowed to do the milah itself on Shabbos. You're also allowed to continue the same milah and add the hidur while your hands on it, while you're at it. You're allowed to continue and go weiter. Everyone agrees to that. What about if you finished, stopped, removed your hands? You no hands, no hands, no hands. Now what? Oi, the baby has those particles which shouldn't be there. Says the Brisa, too late. In order, you're starting a new action. To start a new action just for Hidur, not on Shabbos, my friend, do it on Sunday, right? Mashakin Rabbi Yossi, who held that by the Tamid of the Shulchan Lechem Aponim, the Shulchan, Tamid means even with gaps in time, lapses in time, still called continuation. So to here, even though I removed my hands, as long as it's the same day, I can still continue, and it's called continuation, even though I stopped and removed my hands. Therefore, I'm allowed to go back and continue the milah with hidur. That's Rabbi Yossi's opinion. Okay, very good. We reached the point in which we can stop. Oh, as we said, stopping and starting. Motzei Shabbos, my friends, yeah? The Motzei Shabbos, Be'ez Hashem, when? 8:15, yeah? Good? 8:15? Yeah? Are we all good? 8:15, Motzei Shabbos. Torah anytime, Motzei Shabbos, 8:15. Thank you, Tzlocha Bracha. They're in America, they can't watch us when we're 8:15, it's still Shabbos over there. So our American friends will watch us later. Have a great Shabbos, Tzlocha Bracha, quick release to everybody. B'chol ha'atzlochos, b'chol inyonim.